What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another session of Coffee and Martial Arts. Salud, salud, salud. Cheers. Oh, yes. Yeah, hold on. Okay, now that was perfect. Okay, hello, everybody. I hope you're doing amazing today. I hope you're having a good Thursday. If you're on the West Coast, well, good morning. If you're in the East Coast, good afternoon. If you are in Europe, good evening. So it's nice to have you all here because today we're going to have an amazing show. Yes, we're going to be quiet for the whole hour. We're not going to say anything because our guest doesn't like to share information or history. Ha ha! Gotcha. No, today is going to be an amazing show because we have a special guest that you know him as KENPO Joe, and well, he is a martial arts historian. So we have a lot of interesting facts and histories and stuff to share. But before we go there, let me just say that we are going live through our Facebook page, Master Frank Soto Kinetic Dragon, which I have it right here on my phone right now, and I'm beginning to share. Let's see. Okay. To share, please share the video. Okay. Hold on a second. Okay. Give us like and share the video. Okay, there we are. Okay, so like and share this video, please. Okay, that helps us a lot. It doesn't cost you anything. You just click on the like there on the button on Facebook, and that really helps. Okay, because it allows us to get to more people and to generate more movement. Also, we go live on our YouTube channel. Okay, you can follow us on the Kinetic Dragon channel. Okay. Okay, Kinetic Dragon on YouTube, okay? There we are. Yes, follow us on the Kinetic Dragon channel on YouTube and Master Frank Soto on Facebook. And we also go live on our channel, International Hall of Fame. International Hall of Fame, we're there. We live for you. Oh, here we are. Okay. Before we bring our guest in, let me share this a little bit. Okay. This is good. Share. Good. Okay. And we're sharing some more. Okay. Share. Good. Okay. And please leave your comments. Okay. Leave your comments and send your questions, because we are here for you. Always remember that. So leave a comment. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, here we are. So please leave a comment or ask questions, okay? So let me talk about our guest of the day, okay? So today we have Grandmaster Joe Rebelo, okay? Now, I met Mr. Rebelo back in 1999. He doesn't remember me because, as he, rightfully said, and he was very accurate, I wasn't known back in those days, but he was. He was already one of the top guys. Yes, sir. So that's why I remember meeting him, right? Because he was already, a celebrity in the KENPO world, right? He was already somebody that had built a name for himself. And that's very important. So I remember, meeting him and a bunch of other martial arts masters and celebrities back in the Gathering of the Eagles in Las Vegas at the Tropicana Hotel. I remember because it was a huge event and I was there assisting my instructor, Grandmaster Larry Tatum. I was just one of the guys with, I think James Leonard was there, Cliff, and some other guys. We were there helping out. But anyway, then I got to meet him again in 2009 at the IKC in Las Vegas as well. Wow, I guess we go a lot to Las Vegas. We were not gambling, though. We were doing martial arts. But anyway, I got to meet him again. We got to talk a little bit. But well, the event happened, so we didn't get to say much until yesterday that we ran a test for this podcast, and we got to talk a lot. And I can say he is a truly he has a lot of knowledge. And if you can, please take advantage of this. Reach to him. He's very friendly, very approachable, and you won't regret this. So anyway, Mr. Joe Rebelo, Maestro, he is, like I said, an historian of the martial arts. He's been around with the top masters, and not just around them, but learning from them and sharing with them names like the late senior Grandmaster Ed Parker, the late Grandmaster Al Tracy, the late Grandmaster David German, and the list goes on and on and on. So let's bring in the man of the hour, KENPO Joe. Hello, sir.
How you doing, Frank? Good to see you. Hello, everyone. Really glad to be here. Really psyched to be part of Coffee and the Martial Arts. However, I do have to admit, I don't drink coffee. So today will be Dell's lemonade, orangeade, I should say. Yeah, my doctor told me, okay, everybody knows who really knows me knows normally that'd be a can of Sunkist orange soda. But my doc said, hey, you got to drop it a little bit, lower the A1C and whatnot. So a little less carbonated, a little less sugary. But I'm here for all of you. So really glad to be here, really psyched to be here. Let's have a good time and fire away. Let's start with the questions and whatever I can do to help.
Great. Well, thank you very much for accepting the invitation, sir. This is an honor, and I'm very happy to be able to do this and to interview you. And like you said, you've been in I don't know, hundreds, probably more of shows, but as the host and being the one on the other side, it's a nice change, right? So thank you, and I'm happy to be able to do this. We already have some comments. Let me just share some comments before we start, okay? Let's see. Yermis Caraballo, saludos. Dan Dunfro, hey, KENPO Joe. Okay, Sam Smith says, Sammy Ibrahim, pardon the Sam Smith using a different computer. Looking forward to it. There you go. Thank you, sir. Montasser Noor, awesome guest. Thank you, Mr. Soto. Thank you, sir. He says, KENPO Joe, it's an encyclopedia of martial arts. Amazing. Sifu Ernesto Colbrenner says, saludos maestros from Santa Fe, Argentina. Wow, thank you. Edward Chavez, hello, KENPO Joe, sir, here from Arizona. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, sir.
Edward, I want one of those patches.
Nice. Catherine Letter Sumter, hello, Master Frank and Grandmaster Joe. Cheers from Squim, Washington, USA. Hello. Okay. Chris Littlern Havas, hello from Denmark.
Wow. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Portinho Colatina says Genibaldo Porto Portinho from Brazil.
Very cool.
Hello, sir. He says us.
Us. I don't know us often, so you get me to us, that's a big deal.
Nice. Edward Chavez says you got it, sir.
All right, I'll hold you to that. I want one of those patches. You bet.
Mr. Chavez,
the KENPO patch collection.
Mr. Chavez, I also have to say you're on my list, sir, in the good list as a guest. Please, I will try to reach you soon. Okay, we have another familiar face here. Maestro William Larry Congaika. Long time no see, Mr. Rebelo. Lots of respect and rich history with KENPO Joe. Thank you, both masters. Love your show. Thank you, Maestro.
Larry, to this day, thank you for all your help, and thank you for the konchaku. I never forgot it. I'm going to be doing something. We'll talk about that later on. But yeah.
Nice. So usually when we have a new guest on the show, I ask if you could briefly, I know this will take more than a day or two probably, but
it won't be that long, I promise.
No, just for people that don't have the honor or pleasure of knowing you, sir, if you can share a little bit of your background, your history, how you started into the art and how you got to where you're at today. Like I said, I know it's going to be really, compressed, but please.
Sure. My name is Joseph Rebelo. I'm known to many on the internet in the martial arts world as KENPO Joe. As of today, I've been involved in the martial arts for 53 years. I started at the age of 7 with my father, who was doing father-son horseplay. He hit me with a karate chop and dropped me. And I looked up at him. I said, "What's that?" He said, "That's karate." I was like, "What's karate?" So my father started teaching me privately. I started commercially with the original United Studios of Self-Defense, created by Fred Villari in the early 1970s in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, on the auspices of Fred E. Hosmer, known to many people as Ed Hosmer, not to be confused with Ed Parker. From that time, I've studied over 60 martial arts in my life. I have black belt or instructor certification, I believe, in 26 martial arts right now, and I'm working on 2 more to get my black belt, and always looking for more arts to learn. I'm certified in Chinese, Okinawan, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, Indonesian, American martial arts. I'm a jack of all trade, master of several, and grandmaster in at least 3. It's what I do. This is my life. This is what I do. I do what I love what I do, and I do it for a living. I've been quoted by various martial arts magazines as a walking encyclopedia of martial arts. I have 2 television programs that air in 9 major cable systems throughout Massachusetts called Martial Arts Today and the self-claimed titled, Rebelo's KENPO Karate. Martial Arts Today has been on the air for 31 years.
Wow.
You can see special YouTube exclusive extended episodes of the show with our various guests. I'm also the co-host of Alan Goldberg's Action Power Hour through Vero Hive, created by Lawrence Vasquez. And again, Mr. Vasquez, along with Alan Goldberg, are the co-host. And you can check that out on verohive.com or YouTube.
Beautiful, beautiful. How do you spell that so I can put it here?
Vero Hive, or VEROHIVE.com. And of course, you can also watch it on what we normally do the show on Tuesdays, and then it airs on YouTube on Wednesdays. And check it out, Alan Goldberg Power Hour or the Action Power Hour. But look it up.
Okay.
Was that a short enough bio?
That was short and sweet, and you didn't say how long have you been teaching about
I've been teaching martial arts for over 40 years now.
40 years.
Mm-hmm. And I teach at my martial arts studio, Rebel's KENPO Karate. We teach, obviously, Ed Parker's American KENPO, David German's Thai, Transition Action Incorporated, Northern Praying Mantis Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Okinawan weaponry, Filipino stick and knife fighting, Japanese swordsmanship, and Jiu-Jitsu. And if someone wants to pick one of the lesser known arts that I do have my black belt or master's level in, we instruct in that in private lessons as well. We do private lessons 7 days a week, morning, afternoon, and evening. We say tailored to your schedule, fitting to your needs.
Wow. Wow. Nice. Wow. Amazing. So you started in the martial arts when you were 7, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
And why in the hell do you know 60 different arts? How did that happen?
I'm not the average person, okay? And of course, you always hear the line on the internet, "Oh, you've got to live 400 years to be able to do that." No, man, you just got to be me. I have a 162 IQ. I have a photographic, and recently informed by one of the experts in the field, a photo-eidentic memory. So, and the difference is a photographic memory is you look at a photograph. Okay, there's Aunt Mildred, there's Uncle Bob, there's my mom, I have a photo album. I'll look and say, yeah, that's Aunt Mildred and Uncle Bob, and they're related to my mom Agripina, my grandmother Providencia, and my mother Agripina was born in Aguadilla in Puerto Rico or Puerto Riqueña. Yo comprendo español, but mi abuela para Providencia Gago por Isabela Puertorriqueña. Mi padre my father's from St. Michael in the Azores, or the Madeira, the Portugal area. So I'm half Portuguese, half Puerto Rican. I cut my linguiça with a switchblade, and that's how my mind works. I'll be doing interviews and they'll tell me, oh, you're going to interview Kathy Long. Okay, I've got her copy of Knights, and I also have her other film, and I just pull out these things and show them during the show. And people say, well, how do you remember that? It's like the old joke. You know, what happens when you mix an elephant and a rhino? Elefino. So it's just how I am, you know?
Right. Nice.
Yes, I'm also a frustrated stand-up comedian.
That's good. That's good. There's a term that Ed Parker Jr. taught me years ago. He said, you got to be an infotainer, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And when did you realize of this, skills or this privileged memory that you had because you started at a young age, right?
Right. I was 12 years old. I was sitting in the lounge on Huddleston Avenue in Fairhaven, Massachusetts at the United Studios. And these two teenage kids were pulling out issues of Black Belt magazine that were sitting there on the table. And they were asking me about different stories and different things, like the legacy of Bagua and Xingyi and why it works, and Tung Chuan, and the 3-day battle that these two masters had that they didn't have a decisive winner. So at the end of the third day, they decided that each one of them would learn the other's art because it was the counterpart to that other art. Bagua works on the circle. Xingyi is, I call it Chinese internal Shotokan. It's a very straight line in its approach. I'm quoting these things right off the top of my head and knowing names and dates and stories, and and they're like, "Wow, man, you've got a photographic memory." And I didn't just buy martial arts magazines; I memorized them.
Wow!
And not even consciously. Everybody says, "Joe, you need to go on Jeopardy." And a real quick funny Jeopardy story. I'm at the laundromat with my girlfriend at the time. This is many years ago, and we're folding the laundry, and Jeopardy is playing, and I don't even realize I'm doing this. I'm answering the questions out loud. So as we're going along, I go, okay, what is it? What is the Magna Carta? Where is Tunisia? Who is the Marquis de Sade? And I'm going through this, and I'm naming them. When I go to commercial, and these two little ladies sitting on the chair right near me go, 22. And I was like, what? 22. 22 questions in a row you answered correctly. You should be on the show.
Wow.
And that's just the way I think. And then able to cross-reference those various arts and the way they work and the way, we're more alike than we are different.
Yes. Yes.
And, and anybody who says all martial arts are alike is a liar. There are some arts that only teach like 3 forms, like Wing Chun, and then there are forms like Choi Li Foot that have over 500 between empty hand and weapon sets and dummy forms and 2-man sets. And I'm like, it's not all the same. Never has been, never will be. Kind of thankfully.
Well, what changes is the process, right?
Exactly.
And the content, but basically, like you said, we do have a lot of similarities. A lot of things that connect with each other, right?
Oh, no doubt.
Interesting.
Until we grow extra limbs or superpowers,
Right.
And it's funny because someone was talking the other day, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And or who do you? And I was like, actually, besides Batman, he according to DC Comics, he's proficient in 127 martial arts. I said I'm up to 60. I'm getting there. I'm halfway to Batman.
That's right. You're right.
But the other part is there's a villain, which if you get the chance to watch the brand new Black Widow movie when it comes out, the main villain is Taskmaster.
The Taskmaster, right.
And Taskmaster's power is photographic reflexes.
Right.
Meaning he can watch any physical activity and replicate it perfectly.
Right.
Man, if that's a power that I would want, hook me up, please.
And I was actually going to ask you that. Would you say that your knowledge is more visual, audio, or kinesthetic?
The answer is E, all of the above.
Okay.
It depends.
And when you're registering a martial arts, would it be easier for you just to go and look at in your mind or go and look at in your body?
like I said, back to E. You know, it's all of the above. You know, it all contributes. It all interrelates.
That's super interesting. You know, I really like studying the mind and the way that these things work. So for me, it's just wow.
Like, I'll give you an example. I'm doing an upcoming video on master key movements.
Okay.
And we're taking, I'll tell you what the movement is. That. Or that.
Okay.
Or that. Now, when we look at 5 swords.
Right.
And, you know, I asked Mr. Parker on how to do 5 swords when I first learned it. And I said, Mr. Parker, first thing I asked him is like, why don't we use a knife hand block? We don't tend to use it in our system. There's me and Mr. Parker from New Bedford. 1988 at Brian DeMello's school. A matter of fact, 2 interesting stories from that meeting with Mr. Parker at that event are also on Ed Parker's website, talking about the Ed Parker Jr. uniform. That's from 1986 in Pikesville, Maryland, at Joe Alonzo's event, which was the 1986 IKK East Coast Instructors Camp.
Nice. Damn.
And I want to say Dale Brooks is the person who took that photograph. Like I said, this is the kind of stuff that, you know. That's the first time I ever got to take a seminar with Mr. Parker. That was at Kirby Marshall's event in East Greenwich, Connecticut. On the left of Mr. Parker is Leo Lacerte. Leo was instrumental in getting me involved in Mr. Parker's system.
Wow.
We tested for our black belt together. I was that next photo. That's at Mr. Parker smacking me with a pair of nunchaku in April 1990. I just transferred that video over to DVD last night because I saw somebody else on eBay selling it. And yeah, that was April 1990. Yeah, Mr. Parker broke a pair of nunchaku on my face. Yes.
Are you going to put that available for people?
Yeah, I am, because I'm really tired of this guy putting out a 5th generation copy when I've got a much better copy from the original video. You know, and he doesn't own the rights to it, but I tried to contact everybody who did, and they're like, one guy's dead, Kirby Marshall's in real estate. I'm like, okay, you know, just want to put it out there because, yes.
Call me in. Give me a piece. First copy.
Yeah. I want to put also additional footage at the beginning and talk about it and at the end so people have other things to look at when they're watching the video.
Amazing.
You know, it's really interesting. Mr. Parker did, in New England, he did 3 nunchaku seminars.
Wow.
And from 1983 till his death in 1990. And he never went over the nunchaku set. He went over elements of the nunchaku, but he taught other things as well.
Do you know
he
the
never
set?
taught that set. I finally had to get that set from Sasha Williams.
Right.
And then I saw a later one that's put out now that they have documented through the IKK manuals and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I don't have that set, you know, but I'll learn it. I'll pick up anything, you know. I mean, you know, what I want to do is I want to do a video version of Ed Parker's Guide to Nunchaku. That's my goal, to go through each chapter and detail it out visually and explain it and go over
that would
different
be
aspects.
amazing. That would be amazing. That will be amazing.
Yeah, because I mean, I love weaponry. When one person hits another, it's assault. When 2 people agree to hit each other, it's sport. When 2 people pick up something and hit each other with it, it's fun. So I teach over 65 different weapons. I love weaponry.
Wow.
Chinese, Okinawan, Japanese, some Korean, Indonesian, Filipino as well. Yeah, I love weaponry. You know, it's the art in martial arts, as well as the practical application, of course.
Nice. Beautiful. Let's see. I got another picture here.
That's me with without Tracy. That is at Nick Chamberlain's former school in Dallas, Texas. That was for the Last Man Standing event. And you know, a lot of people get confused with when they watch. I have more costume changes in a Broadway musical. So people look at me and they look at the Tracy uniform and go, "Are you a Tracy guy?" I said, no, I am and I'm not. Meaning that I'm a member of the Udan Shikai, the KENPO Black Belt Society. And he recognized my 8th from David German in Thai and also put me on the board regarding that. I also made an active effort to learn the Tracy system. So that way, you know, Frank, it's like anything else. You know, if you're talking to someone about cars And and I said to her, oh, it's a nice car. It's got nice wheels. It's a nice paint job. But if I sit there and say, hey, the first car I ever had was a 1969 Dodge Dart. It had the slant 6 engine. Remember, Ford used to call it Dodge called it the engine that wouldn't die. Then I had a 1962 Ford Falcon. Remember how the heating system wasn't so bad with the vents that it would leak through due to rust. But now that person I'm talking to realizes I'm in on the joke. I know what I'm talking about. And now we can talk more intelligently and more articulately regarding that particular topic and subject. And I do the same thing with martial arts.
Wow. Amazing. Let's see. We have another nice one.
That's myself with David German. That was when I first physically met David German at his school in West Covina, California. He was right next to a Trader Joe's in a strip mall. And I had been following David German's career through the magazines. Matter of fact, You Train with Larry Tatum, and when Larry made the cover of Black Belt magazine, on the black cover with Ernie George, in that magazine, there's an article on David German. Wow. Mr. German was one of the few individuals who made the cover of Black Belt magazine twice in the same year in 1981. He created TAI, Transition Action Incorporated, which is a combination of Ed Parker's KENPO, also Al Thomas's Budo Jiu-Jitsu, also White Tiger Kung Fu, and several of the Chinese systems as well. He was the first person. He did MMA before MMA was cool. He ran the first basically mixed martial arts tournaments ever run in the state of California. He was a certified boxing trainer in California. Among his students was Demolition Debbie Garcia and Dynamite Mac Foster, who was the man who knocked out Muhammad Ali in a sparring competition, sparring practice.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, the last picture you showed for a moment was Mr. German and I at my TV studio in New Bedford, and we did a video on short form 3, and he explained his approach to it. And we see that first punch from Mr. Parker's Destructive Twins or the Tracy's Two-Headed Serpent. But Mr. German, he did it against a rear 2-hand wrist grab. And he would drop down low and he would throw the person over his shoulder. And as the guy was flying over, he'd use the double block to do a double shot to hit the guy and then punch him to knock him away while it upside down and in midair.
Nice.
Wild stuff. The way his thought process was, he was he really made you look outside the box before it was cool. He
used I remember I first heard the word Chin Na, seize and control, the Chinese art of seizing controlling from Mr. German, right?
Right. Now he did of course Chin Na, but also China. He would drop the N off of it. So it meant controlling energy. But it was all, again, the Chinese understanding from Chin Na, which means to seize and control. Or as he would say, to grab, seize, hold, control, or subdue. Grab them. So I'll never forget that. Grab, seize,
hold, control, and subdue. Right.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was his element of and everything with him was very systematic. And I mean, like, for instance, there were 365 techniques in the art of Chin Na. And every 7th technique was a handset. So he would do things like what we call Fai Jin Su, fast turning hands. Here's a concept. We're so used, the guy punches us and we block. Well, what happens when we punch and they block? What do? We check, we roll, we strike, and he made a series of techniques in response to that. So other things he would do, like his art Chuan Fa, which was basically the Chinese pronunciation of Kenpo. And you could either learn it as a master form with over 500 moves, or you could learn it for each rank, a particular section of the set. And then by black belt, you had the whole form.
Nice.
But he was the first person I ever saw that really successfully and smoothly blended Kenpo and Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of other people are doing it now or saying they're doing it, but he was the first person I ever saw that really could do it.
Wow. Yeah, and I saw some of the videos that he did with Joe Jennings with Panther Production back in the day, and
Right.
it was very, very interesting stuff. There you see.
Now, see, that's at his studio in West Covina, California, and that's his son, Eric, and he's demonstrating one of the 65 patented devices he created, and that's called the KENPO Man. And matter of fact, I have two here in my studio right now, and it's got a 360-degree rotating armature. So when you block it, it comes around and goes to attack you again. And he's got some great original techniques. I'll tell you, if you're a KENPO practitioner, you know, I love Chuck Sullivan, and I was just watching some of his students work on Chuck's device, but I love the KENPO Man because I can move to the inside of a leg, I can leg check, I can scoop between the legs, I can move to the front, to the rear, to the sides. And, you know, yeah, that's a Thunder Fist. That's the first of the 5 master techniques taught in KENPO Man. But fascinating device, fascinating.
Do you have one of those?
I have 2 of them. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're fantastic devices. And that armature that spins, I also have a KENPO Warrior. That one has 1 arm. The KENPO Warrior has an upper arm and a lower arm.
Wow.
So now you're doing Wing Chun and you're doing the wooden man dummy and the sucker's moving around and attacking you back. So it's really fascinating.
And now you see new devices that are used in boxing who are similar to this.
Oh, the Spar Pro with the rotating arm. Yeah. Well, boxers don't tend to block or attack the arm, all things considered, but it's a great device. Yeah. So you can do a lot of the drills you can do with the KENPO Man, but it's the legs and being able to scoop and buckle and check and lock and trap. You know, I mean, like Century's got the new Versus apparatus with the legs. I hear people complain about it all the times because they don't hold up. People are buckling them and hitting them, and they're great for scooping and trapping. If you're a KENPO guy, it's an awesome device. You just got to make sure the legs stand up to the onslaught of the attacks.
Nice. Yeah, I remember this video of Mr. German showing how you got from the arm and do like an arm trap or something, and then how you put it all together, that transition, right? From one move to another move to a move. And it was just amazing. I actually got a lot of ideas from that video, and I learned a lot that I applied when I teach the police. Even to the day, I use that the way he put everything together, because it just made sense.
Well,
he was
simply stated. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It simply stated, Thai is that. It's where you see the transition between actions and can incorporate them, and that's the key. You know, I mean, with Mr. Parker, okay, when I was working with him, and Tony Cogliandro was instrumental in bringing Mr. Parker through a tour in New England, doing different seminars. And when I worked with Mr. Parker, we talked about grafting and the importance of grafting, being able to graft, and seeing that again, that transitional action, that particular point. That's from an event that Doreen Cogliandro, now of course Doreen Dorenzo, ran. And that was one of the last times we saw Mr. Parker. And of course, there I am with Leo Lacerte and Steve Arsenault, and I'm all suited up. But it was great. Man, it was such an honor and such a privilege, such a pleasure to know Mr. Parker. And I was so fortunate. And we were talking about grafting. You talked about linear grafting and circular grafting. And we were at a seminar in Connecticut. It was the first time he introduced and talked about circular grafting, from techniques like Dance of Darkness and going into Mist Leap, and going from Dance of Darkness, shooting into Sleeper, and going from, and looking at what I call with my students, position recognition.
Right. When
you recognize a particular position and you go, hey, I've been here before. Here I am at the intersection. What direction do I want to go?
Right.
I can grapple, I can strike, I can, and being able to see that and perceive that and understand that. And Mr. Parker fostered that and encouraged that, but all right, get on my soapbox. Hold on. Oof. All right. I got to get my drink ready. All right. I need a drink to talk about this. Okay. Let's talk about, people keep talking about how Ed Parker wanted to consistently evolve the system. Yeah, but you know what? You got to be able to do it first. I watch people all the time. Give them a quarter to buy a clue. Give him a dime to call someone who cares. I'm sorry, phone calls cost 50 cents. You can't afford a clue anymore. You know, I just watch stuff. But you know what? At least they're putting things out. At least we can compare and contrast. At least we can look at things and go, wow. But I really sit there and say, you know, you got to know the system.
Right. Agree. Totally agree.
Have a solid foundation.
You have to learn the whole stuff, and then you can move on or whatever, add or you know, I even apply the equation formula to the whole system.
You bet.
You know, prefix it, suffix it, add.
Yep. Add, delete, prefix, suffix. Yep. I say the pirate part. Regulate and rearrange are, you know. But when you're looking at it, what did I miss? Add, delete, prefix, suffix.
Alter.
No, R. RRAA. Regulate, rearrange, alter, and adjust. R. You bet you never knew Johnny Depp was a KENPO practitioner, huh?
No, I had no idea.
Gosh. You see the picture with Jean-Claude Van Damme on the internet the other day wearing a KENPO uniform?
No.
Black top, red bottom, and a third-degree black belt. And I'm like going, when did Jean-Claude do KENPO? I interviewed the man. I don't remember. But it ended up being another person, James Bennett, who's a popular James Bennett, who was a popular KENPOist, and he apparently Jean-Claude borrowed the uniform for the shot. But I'm still like, wow. He's wearing something KENPO. That's huge, you know.
That's nice, yeah. Well,
but
we have.
No,
please.
No. It's your show, not mine.
No. This is your hour, please. I was just gonna bring some comments, but please finish what you were saying, and then we'll bring the comments.
By all means, let's hear what the people have to say.
Yeah, we have people saying hello. Rick Villalobos says awesome. Muniz Abunuar says lots of love and respect, Mr. Rebelo from Florida.
Yeah, I got to meet him at the Action Martial Arts event as well as the IKC. He's a great person, great martial artist, great KENPOist.
Nice. Sifu Raul Ortiz says hello, brother Joe.
My Mantis brother from New York, man. Yeah, like I do a 6 harmony, 7-star, and 8-step Mantis. I've also learned the Wall Mantis system as well. Also study some Southern Mantis, but mainly Northern Mantis for a while. And I am a real member of the Wu-Tang Clan, the real one, so from Taiwan. So yet another facet, you know. But yeah, Raul's awesome. Yeah, he was one of my inspirations when he was competing in New England occasion with the Crane Circuit back in the 80s, and of course his Panzer Production series.
He said, you can only punch and kick in so many ways. What changes are the flavor and how you deliver each of those techniques. For example, not all Latinos cook the same way. What changes are the ingredients they put in? Yeah, I'm a great cook, man. Yep.
Well, now you're going to make me hungry. Thanks. All right. That's what I need.
Oh, man, you got to come here.
Plantains. I miss.
Plantains. Nice.
You know, arroz con pollo. I miss. Gosh, my dear sweet departed mother, Agrippina. She passed away 5 years ago from B-cell leukemia. I miss my mother every day. I miss my mom every day, and the cooking. You want something to eat? Oh yeah.
Okay, we got a question here. Catherine, go to Catherine asks, Grandmaster Joe, can you talk about your stick fighting experience?
Oh, certainly. Sure. Originally started in 1979. I've worked with individuals. The main people that I spent prolonged amounts of time with, first of all, was Remy Amador Prisus. In 1985, I was at a seminar in Saugus, Massachusetts with Mr. Parker. And I asked Mr. Parker, who would you recommend in regards to stick work? Now, remember, the club form had not been created yet. So he recommended, without a moment's hesitation, Remy Prisus. So at the time, there was a gentleman, Dave Hoffman, who was out of Beverly, Massachusetts, and he brought in Remy Prisus. And other guys, Richard Roy from Greenfield, Massachusetts, also Lauren Therian. Those are the people that were working with Professor Prisus. So I went to a seminar in 1985, and I'll never forget, I have this red KENPO uniform with like black racing stripes at the time. Yeah, I looked real KENPO, right? So, but also KENPO. But I went there and I went to meet him, and so I talked. They said, so of course, Professor being everyone who's really spent time, Professor can do a professor imitation. So why are you here? Why did you come to the seminar? Oh, Ed Parker sent me. Oh, Ed Parker, he is my friend. I thought I demonstrated at the internationals. Matter of fact, that's where Dan Anderson saw him demonstrate and got involved with him. Another popular person from Remy Freesis was also, you may remember him from Quantum Leap, was Dean Stockwell. And Dean Stockwell did a movie called Pacific Connection, which starred Roland Dante, who was a very popular Filipino film star. And Alejandro Rey, also from The Flying Nun with Sally Field, was also in the film, and Guy Madison. And Dean Stockwell was learning Filipino martial art, was learning Japanese sword and fencing, but he found Filipino martial arts fascinating. So he started training with Remy in that. So another person I worked with was Rene Navarro, who is proficient in Anis Lanada, from also Anis Abanico Lapunti from Johnny Chitien, and worked with him. He's now on the New England Institute of Acupuncture. And he also trained with Qigong Master Mantak Chia in Iron Shirt Qigong. But yeah, so those are the main people. But I worked with so many different people. J.C. Caballero through seminars, Guy Chase, Tom Sotis, and Tom and I go way back to when he was training with Nick Serio through the International Blade Fighters Guild, and later through AMOC. And, you know, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning.
Nice.
You know, and you know, working with people like my buddy Doug St. Pierre out of New York, who is one of Professor Priestess's top stick fighters. Lee Lowry, who's featured in the original 1985 videos with Professor. So I'm always learning, you know, whether it be Kali, Sarada Eskrima, you know, it's always something to learn. There's always something to learn.
We got another question here, if you might. Salvador Becerra says, Mr. Frank Soto, could you ask Mr. Joseph Rebelo the history of Kata Senpo Go Shinjutsu?
Oh, sure. Yep. Kata Senpo Go Shinjutsu. I at one point was the East Coast co-vice president of the organization. Kata Senpo Go Shinjutsu comes to us through Hilalon, which he didn't like using that name because people used to joke about it being hilarious, and he hated that. Victor, Sonny nickname Gascon, and Walter Godin. And what happened was Sonny Gascon was teaching Kaju Kenpo. He had learned it from John Leone. And Tony Ramos and two other individuals, which I wish I could remember their names, walked into a school one day and said, hey, you know, Nanoy wants you to pay for using Kaju Kenpo. Now, they were friends. He's like, what, he couldn't call me? He had to send you guys to try to strong-arm me and whatnot? He's like, oh, no, it's not, you know, no, we're just passing a message. Oh, I got a message for you. I'm not with Kaju Kenpo anymore. So, yeah. So he redesigned, along with his brother-in-law, Walter Godin, they redesigned the Kata Senpo Go Shinjutsu art. And when they wanted to create the art, they was like, okay, where does this art come from? Well, China. Well, what's the Japanese word for China? Well, kata. Okay, so like karate, China hand. Okay. Well, who brought it here? Well, Daruma, Damo, Bodhihanma. Okay, so, all right, what did he Buddhism? Well, if we're using Japanese, what do we? We brought Zen. Okay. So what did he bring? Well, his art, his law, the law of the fist, how we do with Kenpo. So Kata, Zen, Po, China's enlightened law. And then Go Shinjutsu means arts of self-defense.
Right.
So he combined, so they redesigned the Kaju Kenpo and Kenpo orientation of the art, creating 5 master forms, and then numbered self-defense techniques, or known as combinations, and other miscellaneous punch techniques or self-defense techniques. Later, George Basari, who was a Air Force member of the Air Force and was stationed in Burbank, California, where Sonny Gascon was teaching, trained with Sonny, and then brought the art back to Rhode Island and started teaching there. He, in turn, taught this auto mechanic from Boston by the name of Nick Stereo, who then took the art and he added on various martial arts that he had learned. At one point, working with Mr. Parker in 1969 with the IKKA, and then later working with Professor Chow, as well as other martial artists, also being involved with the AKA, with Ernest Lieb, with Tadashi Yamashita, and Fumio Demura. And then he had a student, Fred Villari, who got his second-degree black belt from Nick Serio. Opened up a couple of schools when Nick Serio was living in Florida. When he came back, he was like, hey, we opened a couple of schools. We want to be Nick Serio franchise. I said, what do you mean you open a couple? Why didn't you contact me? Again, that lack of communication problem always happening. So they ended up starting up their first 2 schools in Dedham and Wareham and Wrentham rather, Waltham. And they said, well, we got 2 studios that are together. What are we going to call them? Well, they're united, so why not United Studios of Self-Defense? And that's how the original USSD chain started. Wow. I hope that answers your question.
I guess it does. Okay. Mr. Kongaika says, I started in David German's system. It was called Budokan Thai, then changed it to American Thai. Yes, we did a lot of Kenpo boxing and grappling back in the day, 1981, 82, before BJJ was even known, or MMA.
There you go.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, when Larry had told me that, you know, blew my mind. You know, like another person who's a black belt in Thai, a lot of people don't know, who's very instrumental in Jeff Speakman's system is Kathy Little, who's his business manager at his school in Las Vegas. And she's, I believe, 2nd or 3rd degree black belt in Thai through the late Ralph Anderson, of course, and of course David German. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, the Thai's always been a fascinating art, and we have so many elements of jiu-jitsu in our Kenpo through Mr. Parker's system. And it was really by learning other systems of jiu-jitsu, including Danzan Ryu, and I interviewed a wonderful person, Steve Balzac, who is the Northeastern New England representative for the Jiu-Jitsu Black Belts of America, or the Federation, I believe, of America, but in Danzan Ryu. And I've watched many videos and worked with different people, and I'm like, oh, that's why we do. Matter of fact, I even wrote an article on it for their organization's magazine on the Danzan Ryu American Kenpo connection. And it's amazing the amount of Danzan Ryu that's in our system. It really is.
Wow. Sifu Raul Ortiz says China is the ancestor to jiu-jitsu.
You bet.
And says these devices actually come from Chinese Kung Fu. It might be new to karate practitioners, but Kung Fu practitioners have used this for years.
I agree with them, and I respectfully agree to disagree as well. That particular jong, and the way it's configured with the 2 legs, I've never seen in over 50 years but the jong with the rotating armature, yes. That, matter of fact, Black Tiger Kung Fu, which would later be renamed Tiger Claw, Fujao Pai. One of their high-ranking Grandmasters in China has a wonderful one, and it's got a rotating apparatus with 3 or 4 arms. And it's made of stone. Can you picture the kind of power you got to generate to rotate stone wheels on an iron rod with no lubrication? Dude.
Wow.
I was like, wow. But yeah. But that jong, the way the legs are and the way the legs are designed, are unique. But the rotating arm, yeah, no doubt.
Nelson Ramirez says, awesome having Kenpo Joe. That man is a wealth of knowledge. And he asked, are those Kenpo dummies still available?
There was a person, Charles Butterfield, that was making for David German. Unfortunately, after David died, he stopped making them. He still has the designs and whatnot, and somewhere he's got some of the materials to make them. But unfortunately, presently they're not available. I got my second one because a friend of mine who took seminars with David German when he was here in New England, he downsized the school, so I got one. And there's another person I know here in Massachusetts who I'm going to try to haunt him again. If he's not going to use it, I want it, because they're so hard to get. And they stand up to the test of time. And if you get a chance to, there's a couple of videos out there on my YouTube channel that show me demonstrating and one of my students demonstrating it, of course, as well as the footage from Mr. German.
Okay, so your YouTube channel is this one, right?
Kenpo Joe 1, yes. It was funny. The guy who had Kenpo Joe, when he found out that I was on the channel, I was looking for it, and he had it. He actually was apologizing to me and said, I'll give it to you, sir. You can. I said, no, you don't have to do that. It's okay. It's like, there's a few Kenpo Joes out there. But, with all due respect, I am Kenpo Joe. Other people can use that name, but they're going to go, all right. Here's the funny story. You always got to have a funny story. So, I became Kenpo Joe on AOL. And at the time, the name wasn't available. So I took Kenpo Joe 1. And I kept checking because if you didn't use that name and you didn't do anything with it on AOL, they took that name away from you when they put it out into the pool to get. So one day, and I found out who originally had the name of Kenpo Joe was Joe Palazzo, but he didn't do anything with it. So it became available. So I grabbed it. So I'm at the Ocean State Grand National Karate Championships. I was competing. I am the first person who placed in the top 10 in New England via Crane, the Karate Referees Association of New England, doing Ed Parker's forms and having competed in front of Mr. Parker in New England, demonstrating his forms. I was also the first person in New England to ever demonstrate in national competition short form and place in with short form 4. And Mr. Parker had that form demonstrated at the East Coast IKK Instructors Camp in Pikesville, Maryland. Nice. So it's not just something out of the ether. It was there. And Mr. Parker was overseeing it. And I have video footage to prove it. And here's me competing in front of Mr. Parker.
That's right.
Scared crapless. Let me tell you. I'm like, and sure enough, I was so frightened. I made mistakes in the form, and I went up to Mr. Parker. I said, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Parker." I still placed. But it was like, I felt bad. He was like, here he was when, it's Ed Parker. And, just to be with the man, to work with the man, to study with the man, to pick his brain. They have a meme out right now. If you could take a private lesson with any one person. That's from the Chicago Conclave. That was put on by Lee Wedlake at the Dragon Wind Martial Arts Studio in Oak Lawn, Illinois. And if you look all the way on the right in the back row, that's me.
Yeah.
And you'll see Leo Lacerte in the opposite kitty corner, and you'll see Frank Trejo and Huck Planis and Mr. Parker and Joe Palazzo and Tom McFerrin and Bill DiCarlo and Lou Laird and Cliff Kelly and David Sykes. And I don't have a life, man. Oh, there's Dennis Knatzer all the way in the back, right behind Huck.
Right.
Yep, that was incredible. That's where the original Kenpo Karate Studio on Church Street in New Bedford. And from left to right, Tony Cogliandro, Leo Lacerte. I'm tucked in the back with the mustache. Mr. Parker, a guy, Tom Pitts, who was a bookkeeper and for the school, and then of course Kalai Griffin. That was 1985, summer of 1985, August.
Nice. Let's see. We have an old photo here.
That's 1983. That's me teaching Northern Praying Mantis Kung Fu through the Wu-Tang group. That's my Kung Fu uniform that I used to wear for tournament competition. That's 1983. That was actually from an article from the Bowsprit, which was a additional newspaper magazine that they used to put in the Sunday supplement. I was teaching underprivileged children Kung Fu for free who couldn't afford classes. And we were teaching that place called the North End Youth Agency on Cogswell Street in New Bedford. And that was a real learning experience, working with children who basically had nowhere to go. And I heard some of the saddest stories. That is the first time I met Ed Parker. That was at a tournament. I want to say Dave Arundel's. I'm not sure. And Mr. Parker, check out that suit. And Mr. Parker was wearing a ring that Elvis had gave him. That Mr. Parker wore as a pinky ring with 24 diamonds in it. And I never forgot the story. So Mr. Parker, who was one of the people of the Memphis Mafia, the bodyguard group, a lot of people don't realize Ed Parker never got paid for any of his bodyguard work that he did for Elvis. He never asked for a plug nickel. And they were he went to a jewelry store that he always went to. And he was looking at this ring. He says, Mr. Parker, I don't know. You think it's a manly enough looking ring? I mean, can you do me a favor? Can you put it on your finger? I mean, I see it, but it's better when I see it on someone else. Can you do that for me? I was like, sure, let's put it on. I think it's a nice ring, Elvis. And he goes to hand it back. No. Keep it. $24,000.
Back in.
Mr. Parker was there when it was paid. $24K. Mr. Parker got glasses and jewelry and cars. And he'd always buy cars. He loved buying cars because that was one of the biggest the biggest first purchase he got for his mom was a car. And that was such a big deal back then for being a little poor kid, barefoot kid from Tupelo, Mississippi, to own an automobile. And it was always Cadillacs.
Right.
The funniest one, I'll never forget the day Mrs. Parker, I was going out with a girl from Bakersfield, California. Mrs. Parker came to pick me up to bring me over to the Parker home. I'd never been to the Parker home before. What'd she pull up in? A Jaguar, wait for it, station wagon. I didn't know Jaguar back then even made station wagons, But yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the first time I met Mrs. Parker. So to finish that story, I pull out the white brochure, remember the white thin booklet, and the blue book. And Mr. Parker's, his jaw didn't go slack, but his mouth opened like, where'd you get these? Because this is the first time anybody in New England had brought these up to him. And he's like, where'd you get these? And I had a friend of mine, Jeff Lima, who used to study with, like I said, photographic memory. I used to train with him at United Studios. He had them, and he sold them to me. And so I gave him this, had Mr. Parker sign them and autograph them, obviously.
Beautiful.
But yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's see. Alfred Magnan says, hello from Miami, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
Dan Dunford says, nice interview, gents. Mastermind says, Kempo guy from WB again. Hello, all salute.
Very cool.
Cool. Sam Smith says, what are the main influence of the Chinese master in California on the art? Specifically, what did Lao Bon contribute? What did our work contribute? And what did James Lee contribute? Bruce Lee, etc.
Okay, sure. That's great. It's a great question. So Lao Bun was a Chinese martial arts instructor that taught Silam, Kung Fu, and Choi Li Foot. He's most known as Liu Fong's Kung Fu instructor. Liu Fong, through his training with Lao Bun, wrote 2 books on the various arts he learned from Lao Bun. One being Silam Kung Fu, where he demonstrates a form called Lun Wan Kun, the continuous and returning fist, which later on Nick Serio would incorporate into his Kenpo system and make it a staple. Liu Fong actually sent the original manuscript to Nick's wife, Nancy Serio. Unfortunately, the manuscript was tragically destroyed in a house fire at her apartment. But Choi Li Foot was the other art that was also taught. So Lao Bun was very instrumental in doing demonstrations and teaching. Ark Wong, of course, from if you talk to people like Carl Totten and Douglas Wong, again taught the Shaolin Kung Fu system, the 5 animal system, also the 5 family system, which include the Mokgar system, which many people claim is a substantial contribution to Mr. Parker's system. Also through Tiny Lafiti, through the Splashing Hand system, which was greatly influenced by Mokgar, and of course the Lima Lama system as well. James Lee was the man who introduced Ed Parker to Bruce Lee. Now, an interesting story, when Bruce Lee met Ed Parker, he was there with his student, Ralph Castro. And now Bruce Lee had learned the back fist through Choi Lee. He was teaching, in order to get training in different martial arts, the big thing, if you wanted to get a girl back then and you were an older Chinese gentleman, the way was to go to dance halls and do the popular dance, which was the cha-cha. If you knew how to do the cha-cha, a woman would dance with you. And guess who was the cha-cha champion of Hong Kong at that time? Bruce Lee. So these martial arts masters would bring him in. He wouldn't ask him for money. He wanted exchange for information. So he learned the first form of praying mantis kung fu, including the consecutive 5 kicks, which you see Bruce Lee do in his room and Enter the Dragon, and part of his demonstration in 1964 at the Internationals. And he also learned Choi Li Foot with the back fist. But he learned like a spinning back fist, a wide, long sweeping action. When he watched Ralph Castro and they sparred a little bit, and Ralph went, and he was like, what was that? And he got him more than once. He got Bruce Lee. Boom. He's like, okay, I got to learn that. So he shows up at Ralph Castro's school. Now, if you want to find out more about the story, you can watch Ralph Castro's Budo International video, and Ralph Castro talks about this in detail. Well, long story short, Bruce wanted to learn the back fist. And Ralph Castro says within a week, not only could Bruce Lee do the back fist, He could stop me from doing it. He could hit me at will. And he could do it faster than I could do it.
Wow.
Now, with us, one of our main contributions, I'm wearing it, is the International patch. This was designed by Mr. Parker and Bruce Lee. And Mr. Parker always gives credit to Bruce for helping design this.
Right.
Bruce Lee was also instrumental in the formalization of the Kenpo freestyle techniques from B1A all the way up through. As a matter of fact, if you want to watch Bruce Lee do the Kenpo or the purple belt Kenpo freestyle techniques, simply watch the fight he has with Chuck Norris in Return of the Dragon. He does no less than 5 of the Parker Kenpo freestyle techniques for.
That's right. Wow.
B1AH, TSK, TSK-RK.
Yes.
They're all in there, baby.
Wow.
And where do you think he got this for Fist of Fury? We know the technique is the, some people still teach it. You either know it as the yellow belt technique, spreading branch, or you know it as part of a brown belt technique, which I'm not going to say. Let's see who among your people watching today can tell me what technique has a leg lock into the vertical back knuckle strike. But yeah, really, and it is so sad when I see people don't do the freestyle, or they kind of pish-posh it away. And but yet they're studying JKD. I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't see the forest with all those trees in the way. That is JKD, baby. That's us doing it. That's doing us doing Wing Chun. That's us doing Jeet Kune Do. That's us.
Wow, I didn't know it came from there, but that's very, very interesting. Yes, and I love the freestyle techniques. They're amazing.
You know, I'm going through the freestyle with my student, and one day I was with Larry Tatum, and Mr. Tatum, and what happened was I put out a video on the freestyle techniques, and I was told that certain people in Europe started asking Mr. Tatum about the freestyle. Hey, you never teach us this. We want to see. Hey, we saw KENPO Joe do this video on YouTube, and I was like, so that's one of the reasons why I'm told Mr. Tatum will either confirm or deny this, that he did the freestyle techniques in his video when he went to Europe in that DVD. But you know, so when I saw him and we're talking about it, and somebody mentioned about the freestyle, he kind of didn't roll his eye, but kind of. I said, "What's the matter?" And I was like, and I said, I don't call Mr. Tatum Larry a lot, but I was like, Larry, what's the matter? You don't want to do TSK, RK, B5A, PBK, HK, or TSK, RK, B5A, BHK, BK? You know, right? The Kenpo cheer, right? You've heard that before, right? From me?
Still, I mean, no.
Oh, give me a B.
B?
Give me another B.
B.
Faster. Give me another B.
B, B, B.
What's it spell? You ever been in a Kenpo seminar and felt that way because your mind was completely blown?
Right.
That's the Kenpo cheer. We all go through it at some point in our training.
Nice.
Or as Mr. Parker would say, you get slanted forehead syndrome. You ever hear that one?
No.
Slanted forehead syndrome. How do you get that from going, I knew that?
Right, right. Well,
yeah, I had a girlfriend once to draw a painting of me doing this, and she claimed it wasn't me, and it was, but I was like, that's me doing slanted forehead, you know. We
ran out of time, but
no. Okay.
But if I may take some minutes from you, we have, if that's okay, is that okay with you, sir?
I'm here for you folks. You want to go over a little bit, please? I'm here. I'm here for you.
Let's go another 5 to 10 minutes, if that's okay. Sam Smith asked also, what was the relationship of Mr. Parker to Ming Lum? That's a good question.
Ming Lum and him were great friends. Matter of fact, hang on a minute. I got something to show you. Wow, funny you mentioned that. Just a moment. Give me a moment.
Okay.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
That's fine.
Hold on. Wait for it. All righty. And now, KENPO Joe, from his incredible KENPO Museum, will pull out an incredible rare artifact. Dun, 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 dun. This is Ed Parker wearing a judo uniform, wearing the original circle. I'll move it over so you can see it.
Yes.
Move it up a little bit. There we go. Now, here's the kicker. Who's it autographed to?
To Ming.
Ming Lum.
Wow.
Ming
Right.
Lum. And what's it say?
May we have an eternal friendship. Your friend Ed. Wow.
I hope that answers that question.
Nice.
Yeah, he was a real sport. At the time, Mr. Parker and the Tracys would go around to the various Chinatowns with a 8 or 16 millimeter film camera, and they would record the different people doing the forms and the weapon sets, and then they would take it back with them. For the Tracy people who may be watching, you have two weapon forms known as Darkroom and Skylight Staff. Those were contributed by White Tiger Kung Fu Master Wei Feng Du or Du Wei. And I didn't know about who he got it from till like the year he died. He finally told me who contributed. He got 26 empty hand forms and weapon sets, but those were the two main weapons forms he kept. I think he also the iron butterfly or double butterfly sword form, which by the way works great with long too. Just saying, a lot of people have done it.
Mr. Hatfield says, good morning from Portland. Once again, the most cerebral podcast on the internet. Thank you, Mr. Soto and Mr. Rebelo. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stan.
Shinobi Lobo Blanco. White Wolf says, huge salutes, many hugs. Thank you. Chris Habas says, great show. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Robert Tiffany May, salute Mr. Soto and Kenpo Joe. Another good day for video. Thank you.
Cool.
Paul John says, no way. I never knew that. So cool.
Man, if I had a quarter for every time somebody said that, I'd buy a Porsche.
And he says, ramming the eagle.
Oh, want to talk about that one? Well, it's the grafted technique, right? And there's so many of the brown belt techniques. Oh, yeah, you're right. There you go.
That's the question, right?
Pow, boom, boom, right? Yep. And nice. David German didn't like this technique, but it's a Darce choke. When you look at it, you know, you can lock them and do it. And what is it? Well, guess what? It's this.
The salute.
It's the salute. It's applying
Sam
the salute.
Smith says, man, you rock.
Rock and roll, Sam.
Maestro Eric Alfaro, big hug to both of you. May God gives you a lot of blessings. Thank you, sir. Larry Kongaika says, Ming Long told me his dad and Mr. Parker's dad worked together in the shipyards back in Hawaii. They were good friends. Wow.
Wow, that I never knew. See, I didn't know that. Wow.
Nice, nice. Sam Smith says, thank you very much.
Cool.
Sammy Ibrahim says, full salute, gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
Full salute to you, yes.
Edward Chavez says, thank you, Kenpo Joe, sir, for sharing great stuff. You're one of the lucky ones that had the privilege to meet Bruce Lee. I will message you for your mailing address. I
never met Bruce Lee. I met Mr. Parker, but not Bruce Lee. Though Bruce Lee did come to Massachusetts. Wow. Bruce Lee, he was at an event, Junri's tournament in Washington, D.C., and he heard there were two high-ranking Wei Chi experts, masters, that were coming to go work with George Mattson at his studio in Boston, Mass. And he had his bodyguard. Yes, that's right. Bruce Lee had bodyguards. David Ricks, who was a Kempo practitioner and a Chin-Na practitioner in Maryland, bring him to Boston. And there's photos that were taken by Mr. Jack Summers, who was a Wei Chi black belt, showing Bruce Lee working with the Wei Chi experts and also sparring Jimmy Maloney. Jim Maloney. Sparring Jimmy lightly, you know, but it's got him sparring. As well, he's got these skin-tight white bell-bottom jeans and a vertical striped skin-tight, you know, long-sleeve shirt. And, you know, it's wild. If you can find it on the net, look it up. Look for Bruce Lee wearing that outfit, and that's from Boston, Mass. But that's as close as I ever got to Bruce, besides Dan and something, you know. But, yeah.
Professor Alfaro says, sir, I owe you the patch of our organization. I will make it. I will send it to you soon.
Eric, I've been wanting it forever. It was funny. We were at the IKCs, and I'm pointing out the patch. He goes, I got a division to run. I said, please get me that. And, you know, I never forgot that, Eric. I didn't want to interrupt your division. See, I remember. Like I said, photographic memory.
Muniz Abunawar says that's where the tiger and crane came from. White tiger.
The tiger and crane did not come from White Tiger. The tiger and crane came from Jimmy Wing Woo, who taught it to Mr. Parker. Jimmy Wing Woo was teaching for. A matter of fact, I have footage of Jimmy Wing Woo teaching at Mr. Parker's school in Pasadena. You can't miss. He had big Coke bottle glasses back then. He was working on crossover and inside and outside crescent kicks and the foundation for tornado kicks and crossovers and crossing cover out. Yeah. But it comes from Jimmy Wing Woo.
Master Scott Higgins says, good morning, Frank and Joe. Good to see you. And Joe, haven't seen you since the seminar we did for Jeff. Salute.
Very cool. Yeah, Scott's a wealth of knowledge and information, Scott is, yeah.
Yeah. And Eric says he's going to give you the patch of the IKC as well.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, we did run out of time like 10, 12 minutes ago, but why don't we do this again, sir?
Oh, yeah, by all means. Okay, but before we go, hi, I'm Joe Rebelo, Kenpo Joe. Now, if you want to contact me, my email is kenpojoe@aol.com. You can find me on YouTube at KenpoJoe1. Also, I'm also available on Twitter and on Instagram. On Instagram, you'll find me as KenpoJoe_Rebelo. On Twitter, I think it's Joe Rebelo or Kenpo Joe. I really can't remember. I don't know. But you also can check us out on YouTube. Also, check us out on Vero Hive with Alan Goldberg's Power Hour on Tuesday nights. And you can also check us out on Wednesday nights with the Power Hour as it's transferred over to YouTube. If you have any questions or information, you can reach me at Rebello's Kenpo Karate, 88 Hatch Street, Suite 312, New Bedford, Massachusetts, 02745. Or call me at 774-360-4116. That's 774-360-4116. Can you tell I'm a graduate of the New England School of Broadcasting? Yeah. Okay.
Beautiful. So we got your YouTube. Let's see. Okay. And that's the Instagram right there.
Yep.
Okay. And I missed Twitter. Sorry about that. But anyway, thank you so much, sir. This was amazing. Is there anything you want to add to the people that are watching?
You know what? I say, and first of all, there's something I used to put at the end of all my posts on AOL. I hope that I was of some service. And, you know, at the end of it, I say all my instructional videos, you know, keep training, keep doing the arts. Always, you know, Ed Parker had a great phrase. He says, the mind's like a parachute, works best when it's open. Keep an open mind. My instructor, Jack Leonardo, said, you know, it's good to have an open mind, but it's better to have an open heart. And that's the key. And if I can be of some service to you and help you out in some way, I teach seminars all over the country. If you'd like to bring me in to do a seminar, whether it be Kenpo history or one of the numerous martial arts that I teach, I'm always learning more. I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine I saw today, Christina Pabon. Kenpo jewelry, man. You got to check her stuff out. I just saw her mention about some of her classic things, and I own them. You should own them. Great stuff, you know. And nice. Until next time, you know, keep training, man. And thank you, Frank. And God bless coffee and martial arts. Thank you for being allowed.
Thank you so much, sir. This was amazing, and we're definitely going to do this again. There's got to be a second, and why not make it a trilogy? Because you have so much to share. Thank you so much. If you're up for it.
Bet. You bet. Oh. How can I help? That's the key, right? How can I help? How can I be? I hope I was of service.
Great. Well, thank everybody that watched this, and we're still having a lot of amazing guests next week. Don't miss it. Remember, here we are, Coffee and Martial Arts, every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Daytime. Was it 2 o'clock Eastern Time? So thank you again. Thanks for all the comments. Have a great day, and bye-bye.